Feature section now, gay marriage. And in a historic moment for America, Andy, President Obama sat down in the White House, strapped his nuts on, and announced that he personally was in favour of gay marriage. Now, he had previously announced that he was in favour of gay marriage in 1996 when he was running for Senate, but, you know, he wasn't president then, and it's a bit more important when it comes from a president than when it comes from some dude. But everyone had assumed that he felt this way, but probably also assumed that he would never say it while in office. He was basically operating a don't ask, don't tell policy, or more accurately, a policy of ask if you want, I'm not going to fucking answer you. But this was a genuine moment of history, and not bad history like natural disasters or terrible wars. Good history, Andy, like the invention of ice cream and the opening weekend of the Smurfs. This was the first ever President of the United States going on record as being in favour of gay marriage. And whilst that will legally mean very little, it will still remain a states' rights issue, and lots of states, as North Carolina sadly proved this week, have still got their head in the past and up their own arse. But, you know, symbolically, it could barely have been more meaningful. It is the gay moon landing, Andy. This is one small step for a president, one giant leap for a nation. And what was even more remarkable was the relative lack of drama after it. The gates of hell did not open, as some were perhaps anticipating, and the media generally focused on doing their job incompetently rather than maliciously, which is, you know, it's a step forward, kind of, you know, diagonally forward at least.
Not everyone has been that impressed, though, particularly on the Republican side. Michele Bachmann put out a lengthy news release on Wednesday in which he said marriage between one man and one woman is the foundation of our society. For more than 200 years, traditional marriage has been a cornerstone of the United States of America. And I will do everything in my power to support and preserve traditional marriage and to protect American families. Now, fortunately, everything in her power does seem to be pretty much all now. But
yeah, so that's great.
I think what she might want to do before that is just chip away at the divorce rate in traditional marriage of around 50%.
Yes.
And also, in these, well, maybe that's a bit harsh, because in these trying economic times, divorces are actually quite good for the economy. You know, lawyers, short-term property lets, new clothes, makeovers, divorcees then starting dating again, going out to restaurants, remarriages, all good for the cake industry. In fact, Michele Bachmann should be encouraging more ill-conceived, hasty marriages, particularly between gays, because gay weddings are, on average, 5.4% more lavish than non-gay or partially gay weddings. That is a fact, John.
Most chose to focus less on the pure joy of this historic moment and more on whether the decision was politically motivated and whether or not it would help or hurt the president's chances of re-election. The debate seemed to be whether this issue was deep in the president's heart or deep in his heart because it was deep in the heart of a majority of voters in crucial swing states. To which you could respond, who cares? Who cares? It's just good. Some criticised the president for doing this for money, arguing that he would get increased donations from his base and from gay groups, essentially arguing that the president of the United States is gay for pay. And Cardinal Timothy Dolan, president of the US Conference of Catholic Bishops, labelled the president's remarks deeply saddening. Andy, I would like to label Timothy Dolan's remarks f***ing infuriating. So it seems that we both know how to be disappointed in others.
Now, in Britain, we've had a similar debate about gay marriage, and by debate, I mean the right-wing press going f***ing nuts about it and no one else really giving that much of a shit. And David Cameron has responded to discontent on the right wing of the Conservative Party after the appalling local election results last week by easing off on his plans to legalise gay marriage, as if the Tories all got together and thought, we're facing terrible problems in Britain today, the cuts programme, massively unpopular with the nation as a whole, the economy disastrously stagnant, massive public disenchantment with democracy, greed, irresponsibility, corruption, rife throughout our politics, throughout our media, throughout our economic system. Unemployment heading towards 3 million. The whole country is a mess. What can we possibly do to rectify all these endemic socio-political problems? Oh, here's an idea. Stop gay people getting married. Everything else will fall into place. We just have to stop the gays being happy.
It's interesting, the two responses that Britain and America had as nations to the issue of gay marriage. One, defined by an act of a leader's political bravery, and another, a leader's political cowardice. Because Prime Minister David Cameron is in favour of gay marriage and planned to legalise it for personal reasons or political reasons, or who gives a shit. It's just demonstrably the right thing to do. But he is now going to renege on that plan after, as you mentioned, heavy losses in elections, and he's not going to legalise gay marriage to appease his Conservative base. And well, how does that appeasement feel, Prime Minister David Cameron? It must be a pretty proud feeling to go to bed at night and think, well, I did a really historic, brave, bold and ultimately moral thing today. I appeased the base of my party. I wonder where they're going to put my statue in Westminster to commemorate this historic achievement I made.
So it was withdrawn from it wasn't in the Queen's speech, the gay marriage legislation. And the Queen's speech, she looked even more pissed off than usual, John. She had that characteristic, I could do this better than you f***ing chancers look on her face that has become so familiar over the years, as if she was just one more piss-poor policy away from going off-piste and shouting, OK, let's see what f***ing rubbish I've got to chunder out this time. My lords and members of the House of Commons, what a f***ing catchphrase that is. My government's legislative programme is going to set this country back. Oh, there are more words in that sentence, my mistake. Set this country back on the road to oblivion? No, it's recovery. Good one, Cameron. F***ing good one. My government will stop at nothing if only that were true in order to... Oh, I'm not reading this patronising f***ing guff. Right, I've got my sceptre and I'm not afraid to whack you with it. Pathetic! I'm sick of it. This little beauty left some nasty whack marks on Anthony Eden's posteriors. I can tell you that for free. Be warned! Whack! Whacky!
Dr. John Sentamu, the Archbishop of York, compared the Prime Minister to a dictator if he was to allow couples of the same sex to marry. That is an excellent understanding of history from the Archbishop, Andy. Whilst all dictators have been different, they've also very much been bonded by their progressive views on single-sex marriage. I think that's why Mussolini and Hitler got on so well. The Archbishop said, it's almost like somebody telling you overnight that the church, whose job it is to worship God, is an arm of the armed forces. They must take arms and fight. You're completely changing tradition. Well, it's not almost like saying that at all. In fact, it's nothing like saying that whatsoever. He went on to say, if you genuinely would like the registration of civil partnerships to happen in a more general way, most people will say they can see the drift. But if you begin to call those marriage, you're trying to change the English language. Right, Andy, like the word arsehole. It used to just be a word to describe the human arse. Now it can describe a person, or a bigot, or an archbishop, or someone who's all three of those things. Someone who is an arsehole, but who also owns an arsehole, through which he makes most of his public statements. George Osborne confirmed that the gay marriage issue was going to get kicked to the curb down the line. The Chancellor said that he'd taken the message from voters that ministers should be focusing on the things that really matter, rather than getting distracted by too many other issues. The thing is, this does really matter. It really matters a lot, because there will be a time in most of our lifetimes when we will look back on the time that gay people were not allowed to get married in our countries, and it's going to be fucking embarrassing. And to those who are frightened of it, you just want to take them by the shoulders, squeeze them, shake them just slightly but firmly, and say, this is all going to be fine, fast. You are not going to care about this faster than you thought you could not care about anything. Now, do you want to see a video of Vladimir Putin scoring an ice hockey goal? Because it's very funny.
I guess Sentamu has a point, John. We're still a Christian nation here. And what this legislation would mean is that the wedding at Cana would actually have been a gay wedding. And, are we prepared to take that step? When Jesus, I don't know if he'd have been a fan. I mean, I guess he might have been a fan of gay wedding. He certainly spent a lot of time swanning around in his underpants with 12 guys. Read into that what you want.